In her 2 full-time years competing in the NASCAR Truck Series, Halie Deegan has won the Most Popular Driver award both times. But she did need a fan vote to confirm her popularity. That's evident in her social media following, which is in the millions across multiple platforms. Recently, the 21-year-old was interviewed on a podcast that was shown on one of those platforms, YouTube, on the Monster Energy channel. During her almost hour-long conversation, the driver initially made it clear that she's never really felt like she's been part of the gang in stock car racing, before bluntly calling out NASCAR and its drivers on multiple occasions for lacking personality. What do some of the Cup Series drivers think about those remarks? We asked. Halie Deegan has been on the national stage for the last 2 years with the Truck Series, but she's had racing in her blood since birth as the daughter of freestyle motocross legend Brian Deegan. However, she grew up in very different racing circles compared to the stock car world. During her interview on the Unleashed podcast, she shared just how different.
I never looked at myself differently growing up. Like, I thought it was just cool. Like, I was a girl that raced, whatever. Like, I was friends with all the other guy racers, and I think that was a big change for me going into the stock car world, is that, like, I don't know, like, I felt like everyone at the off-road track was, like, my friend. Like, I was able to, like, easily be friends with everybody, and now, like, the stock car world, everyone's, like, so stuck up and, like, so, like, worried that, like, someone else is going to take the ride or whatever it is, and, like, I don't know, like, I don't even really hang out with any of the stock car people at all, nor talk to them.
Yeah.
Like, I just do my own thing. Because, like, they I don't know, it's different. It's very, very different. And
Stuck up, first shot fired, and she was just getting started. A few minutes later, she talked about how a lot of the big names in NASCAR have left the sport in recent years, including Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. She said since the departures of the quote-unquote heavy hitters, there's been a void of personality left behind.
But yeah. The heavy hitters are gone.
Yeah.
Like, it's all new faces. And I think that's some of the biggest issues with NASCAR right now, is that a lot of the new like, back then, every heavy hitter that was in it had a personality. You liked them for a reason. Now, fans don't even know a reason to like somebody. They're like, yep, their car looks cool. Because they, like, are no personality one bit. It's like, you might as well just talk to a brick wall at that point instead of having a conversation with them.
Is that because
A brick wall? Ouch. A few minutes later, Deegan was questioned why she thought it had changed. She offered a thoughtful response.
some of these
Yeah,
people
I think
like
you have to be
coming
a
in?
little bit more politically correct now, so
Yeah.
that maybe a lot bit more. But I think that's definitely something that there's a lot more corporate people and partners that are involved in it, and I feel like the world times have changed, and that's something that I feel like has majorly affected the NASCAR world is drivers being able to fully express their personality without getting in trouble with either their sponsor being like, oh, we didn't really like how you acted there, or kind of what you said there. And it could be nothing that crazy. Like, it could be something not that bad that people have said 10 to 20 years ago all the time.
A little later in the episode, Deegan talked about Formula One's Drive to Survive and how she's invested in that show. Then, interestingly, she circled back to the lack of interesting drivers in NASCAR.
Kind of in the stock car racing world, like, it's hard because it's hard to have cameras around all the time. Like, every team is trying to find the next step above the other team. Drivers kind of lack a little bit of personality. Like, you're going to have you probably name every driver with personality on one hand.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be hard. It would be hard to build a show like that's that interesting off of it.
Name every driver on one hand, brick wall, stuck up. She mentioned lack of personality 3 times in a short span. But is it true? Who better to ask than other drivers in the Cup Series? Up first, 2022 Daytona 500 winner Austin Cindric, who has shown his personality as a guest analyst on Fox's ARCA coverage, and last year at Circuit of the Americas, when he showed off his personality and musical skills playing a tuba before the race.
I wouldn't say lack of personality. I'd say there's some pretty high egos, but that doesn't limit personality, I feel like. So from that standpoint, I feel like we have a pretty large variety of different personalities for whatever your flavor might be.
Chase Briscoe is in his 3rd full-time Cup season. He finished 9th last year and earned his first win at Phoenix. He's not a loud personality, but has shown a humorous side in the Mahindra Tractors commercials with Tony Stewart. He doesn't agree with Deegan that there's a lack of personality, but does agree that corporate America has played a role in stymieing some of the characters.
I wouldn't say there's a lack. I feel like maybe some guys don't show them, but I think everybody's definitely got one here. Really, we kind of got this mindset a couple of years ago where you had to be this certain type of person. You know, you had to wear your polo everywhere. You couldn't really step out and be your own personality, where now it's kind of the opposite, where I feel like, you know, for us this year, I don't even have tees, right? Like, I just have t-shirts, wear the track, like, kind of be yourself. But before, everybody had to be the same type person, you know, very corporate America. And now I feel like, you know, just how the industry's changed, how the, you know, corporate America's even changed, they kind of want to see your personality a lot more, where, you know, 5-10 years ago, I thought it was so, I remember trying to come into the ranks, you gotta have your shirt tucked in every time you went to the racetrack. Like, it's hard to be yourself, where I feel like now it's a lot more accepted in general, but a lot of the guys probably got so stuck in the mindset of kind of being that way, like they had to be 5-10 years ago. And I think you see more of the younger guys kind of being themselves, especially with social media and things like that. But I would say there's not a lack of personality. I think a lot.
Corey LaJoie shows his personality and interviewing skills on a weekly basis on his popular Stacking Pennies podcast. He also disagrees with Deegan about NASCAR lacking personality. He says it's there, but toned down for a reason both Deegan and Briscoe mentioned: sponsors.
I would disagree with that. I mean, everybody has a personality. It's just a matter of getting the opportunity to show it. You know, if you have to do it and you have to fabricate it, or you have to make it this exaggerated, like, push of, you know, somebody's personality, then it's not going to come across as natural. Whether that's more in-depth shows on, you know, you see Drive to Survive blowing up on Netflix, and you know, I would say that our sport has way more personality of drivers than F1 does. I mean, those guys, you know, they don't do a whole lot for you, but you find yourself rooting for certain storylines, and we have 35 storylines that are way better than what those guys have. And with just how reliant the sport is on the sponsors paying for the actual tires on the car to keep the thing moving, you can't afford to put your neck out there too far and show too much personality, and then, you know, somebody not agree with it, or, you know, cancel you. So everybody just kind of turns that dial down a bit more, just to protect themselves and their partners. That way, you know, once the business model changes and you know, teams are hiring drivers, you know, based on ability and marketability and things like that, then I think you'll see some more personality come out.
The business model changing? One can dream. Actually, the new TV deal that will be in place for the 2025 season should produce a substantially larger financial piece of the pie for the teams. The hope is that revenue increase will significantly reduce the dependence on sponsor dollars. If that happens, then, as LaJoie mentioned, maybe more personality will be allowed to come out. Maybe then Deegan will change her mind. Time will tell.